Hi, my name is Shelley, and I'm a registered nurse, but I've always had a passion for holistic health. I'm also known as a psychedelic integration coach. And I noticed that even though I was really getting my mind right and working on my exercise and everything, I just was really struggling with having energy. And so when I had the chance to do an epigenetic hair follicle test, I was like, what? I've never heard of this. And so when I did a bit more research, I realized like how valuable the information contained in these reports can be to help you with your energy levels. And I know I can speak from my own experience. It's helped me so much to dial in areas of my life that I didn't even know needed improvement. Let's begin. So I'm going to share with you my report, and the suggestion is to do these every 90 days, and it's an optimized immunity and well-being. It's a 36-page report. It's very detailed with lots of suggestions. But what I really love, and so does Austin, is that it actually tells you what to eat, because we found that when we were going through health opportunities, we kept being told what you can't eat, and there were no options of what you could eat. So this technology has been around for about 15 years. It's out of Germany. It was brought over to the US 8 years ago. And so we're very lucky to have it here. Here is the main page of the report. It summarizes everything in a quick snapshot. So we have the key optimization overview, and this is my report. So what it's going to show is that I need to optimize my vitamins. I need to optimize my environmental challenges, fatty acids, along with antioxidants. But over on this side, it talks about system support summary, and it lets me know that some areas that showed up that need attention are the gut and intestinal, hormone system, digestion, and fatty acid metabolism. In all of that, I had weight loss surgery 15 years ago, so it makes a lot of sense for me why my gut and intestine is coming up along with that digestion. And so what's really important with these results and with these reports is that the key is getting the digestion in your gut and intestinal area really dialed in before you can start taking supplements, before when you're eating the foods that help you will really have an effect. Because otherwise you're just, and that's what I've always found, is I'll take supplements and I don't feel any different. Well, now I understand that it's because my digestion's off. So once I can get my digestion dialed in, and that's what I've done, I felt amazing. It also shows that these are some areas that it suggests for restricting. It includes beef and wheat. I always suggested wheat. I've done several allergy tests and wheat never comes up, but as this is an epigenetic test, this is actually showing that I'm having some sort of reaction in my system with wheat. I was a bit surprised by beef, but I will be honest, I had noticed that I wasn't craving beef like I used to. In fact, I cannot do fatty cuts of beef any longer, and I love beef. So occasionally I'll have a hamburger or just some ground meat and a taco. A lot of the other ones, pistachios, poppy seeds, eggplant, those were never really on my radar. Flounder, trout, I will be honest, I am not a fish gal at all. Artichokes, blackberries, and currants. Currants are like a cranberry. Again, I don't really even eat much of those things, but they came up on my report. So down here where we have category, indicator, and information, this is where it shows the vitamins, and it shows the vitamins that I'm deficient in. So vitamin K2, vitamin E, betaine, and vitamin C. Environmental challenges would be radiation. Makes a lot of sense, as I worked 18 years as a registered nurse, and we had a lot of, I was in an emergency room, so we had x-rays going on all the time. I've been out of that environment for a good 2.5 years, but clearly there's been some challenges and health opportunities that I can work on just to help my system fight against free radicals and whatnot. Fatty acids here, oleic acid, and then DHA. The DHA really surprised me, but then it didn't, because when I dove into more of the holistic reasons, DHA is actually what's used to help treat those who want to treat their ADHD, attention deficit hyper disorder. That is what is one of the number one things suggested to take. So that made a lot of sense. And actually, when I started taking it, I felt better as far as my focus and my attention. Antioxidants, coenzyme Q10, flavonoids, selenium, and vitamin E. The selenium actually came up several times on my test, and so I actually just take that in a multivitamin. Again, we have minerals, foods, and then additives. So here in the system support energetic indicators, again, it's telling me my gut and intestine really need some attention. My hormone system, again, I've started perimenopause for the past, gosh, it's almost been a year now. Digestion, and then the fatty acid metabolism. Circulatory system isn't really highlighted per se. It's just saying to be aware along with the immune system. For now, I'm just focusing on the top 4. Over on this side, it tells me my total value for all the areas needing support was 115. And it's letting me also know that anything that's 1 to 19 just needs some maintenance. Anything 20 to 34 is moderate support. And then anything 35 and up is going to be like where I really need to focus in on. So in this case, it's in the teal. So like my C, my vitamin E, I told you selenium came up, iron. The iron, I'm not surprised by because about a month before I took this test, I had some blood work done. And because I'm a registered nurse, there was something slightly off. And this would probably not be super noticeable to maybe somebody not in the medical field, but I had just noticed that there was a percentage going on with my red blood cell count, and it was slightly low, just slightly, like we're talking 1%. But I had really been feeling winded and tired. And so I, on an intuitive hunch, decided to add iron in. And I'm so glad I did, because then it came up on my hair follicle test. Again, some vitamin E, vitamin C. Vitamin E came up twice, selenium, coenzyme Q10, omega-3s, which is not surprising since I do not eat fish, and so I need to actually supplement taking those. The gut and intestinal, it also told me I had some electrosensitivity or my environment, and I'll show you that. The food restrictions on this was talking about the wheat or the barley, and so that's telling me I can no longer eat wheat, gluten, that sort of thing. But here is sugar. And what was really interesting is that nobody really knew, but like 8 o'clock at night, like every night, I would be craving sugar. And we're talking like added sugar, like your stuff you would find in candy bars and that sort of thing. And once I saw that, I realized that I needed to add chromium, and that was a suggestion because it was probably there was something going on in my system where I'm craving sugar. It's helped a bit, but I also realize it's some behavior things and hydration, along with sometimes if I don't take in enough protein, because like I said, I've had weight loss surgery. And so I have to be very regimented in everything that I eat every day to make sure that I'm fueling my body up appropriately. For those who might be interested, I had the vertical sleeve. And again, I had that 15 years ago. So on this page, again, it's a personal immune system support. It just reminds you what protein does, what some vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, different micronutrients. It's also letting me know that gluten and milk affect my immune system. So it also tells me areas that I might see sugar hidden, because sometimes we just forget that stuff. So these are just some suggestions of getting enough sleep, hydration, avoiding smoking, drinking less alcohol. I don't drink. Making sure I'm taking in fresh vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. Very fortunate to live in California in basically the agricultural belt. And so we have really beautiful farms, a lot of farmers markets in town. It also is really wanting me to know to think about pre and probiotics. And that was one of the key indicators that came up to help with my digestion. Environmental stresses would be the radiation. Again, I believe that was from working in an emergency room so long. Some of the nutritional markers that came up were letting me know that I needed some amino acids, the tryptophan, the cysteine. The betaine is involved in your digestion, along with it's a non-essential amino acid. Again, omega-3s, the selenium, iron, vitamin C, and it's letting me know my digestion. So this is system support energetic indicators. This is telling me that my system is sending most of my energy to help me digest. And again, this is actually telling me I have an intolerance to wheat. And like I said, I had done an actual allergy test with blood, and it did not come up that I was sensitive to wheat, but on the epigenetic test, it does. And since I had weight loss surgery, many times after I eat wheat, I actually get a post-nasal drip. So I was always having the markers and always having, my body was communicating to me, but I like wheat. I like to eat bread. It's not a ton of it, but clearly my body's, no, maybe reconsider this. This lets you know just like your gut support, because like I said, the first thing you need to work on is supporting your gut. And not everybody has this come up. I just happen to. And so it gives me an outline of how I can support my gut by using either foods or supplements. Now, if some of the foods come up, but those are on the foods of what to avoid, then you're just not going to eat those foods. Some of the circulatory nutrition support indicators were letting me know the selenium, the vitamin C, vitamin E, the coenzyme Q10, which is again what is that one used for?
CoQ10.
Yeah.
It helps with your mitochondrial
Oh, yeah.
metabolism.
That is something that helps with the mitochondrial and your metabolism. And so as I'm getting older, I can tell I'm not metabolizing like I used to, as I've had a bit of a weight gain along with hormone changes, etc. The DHA, the vitamin K10, and then of course the oleic acid, which would be your omega-9s. So over here we have the frequency interference indicator. So this is just letting me know to consider reducing exposure. And so in this case, it's going to be an electromagnetic alternating field and then also radio frequency. What's interesting with the radio frequency, as I was doing research into that, is the radio frequency is being used quite a bit now in some of the alternative health trends or like beauty trends, where it goes in there and you use it to help break up fat in your system. So I was just very surprised because I've never had that done. And so the only thing I can think is possibly coming from Wi-Fi in my house. The electromagnetic alternating field, I live in a city. I can tell you right now, I live in a city and I have wires over my house, very small, tight backyards. It's just letting me know to reduce exposure. And there are some foods that can support me because they're above my house. I can't really unless I move and sell my home, I can't necessarily reduce, but I can certainly take some support foods or supplements. Spirulina is a really big one, vitamin D, EFAs, calcium, melatonin, B vitamins, sulfur, etc. It's also letting me know how to to reduce the exposure to the frequency interference. The vitamin indicators is letting me know I need it's a priority. I need an increase. And so it's a vitamin K2, it's a vitamin E, betaine, and then of course the vitamin C. And so I'm taking those in a multivitamin every day. Again, if you want to add additional support with food, here's a suggested list: dairy, seeds and nuts, lentils, chickpeas, green vegetables, grains, red peppers. So in my case with the grains, I would obviously need to make sure that they don't contain wheat, because sometimes it'll come up suggesting the foods, but it's on the foods of what you shouldn't be eating. So just be aware. Some mineral indicators, chromium. This is how we knew I needed chromium and where it coincided with that sugar craving that I'm having. Selenium again, the molybdenum, the chromium, and then of course the iron. And I had told you that the iron had come up in a previous blood test a month before I did this hair follicle test. I've been doing this now for a few months and I'm feeling a lot better. Minerals that I can take to help: green leafy vegetables, nuts, whole grains, fish. Again, I have fish on my list, so I have to be careful which ones. Shellfish, broccoli, cabbage, brown rice, eggs, mushrooms, etc. So certainly you can do more of a food support instead of supplements, but in this case, I'm doing both. Fatty acid indicators is actually telling me, again, it's a priority, increase the intake. So the oleic acid, which is going to be the omega-9s, and then the DHA, which, like I said, I probably up until I did the test, I had really not been taking anything for my ADHD. And I could tell there's just signs. I leave things everywhere. I'm forgetful. I'm not concentrated and focused. And so I have added the DHA and I'm already noticing I'm more focused. I'm not leaving stuff everywhere. It's not a perfect, it's just not, but it's certainly, I can see that I'm a bit calmer. I can ground myself and think instead of just feeling like I'm spinning in my head. Fatty acids from some non-vegetarian choices would be sardines, salmon, shrimp, mackerel, herring, trout. And then if you're vegetarian, flaxseed, walnuts, tofu, hemp seed. So I really love this test. We're on page 17, but I just love this test because it's showing you can take supplements, you can do things more supported by food, or you can just do both. Some antioxidant indicators I need to increase, starting with the coenzyme Q10, the flavonoids, the selenium, and the vitamin E. Some different foods I can take: peppers, blueberries, cranberries, tomatoes, sardines, apricots, salmon. You start seeing a trend of like different foods that can benefit you for multiple different nutritional needs that you might be lacking, with antioxidants, with fatty acids, minerals, vitamins, etc. So then that way you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to eat 50 different pieces of food each day. No. Try and go through and see the ones that like line up for the various indicators, and then just make sure that you stack the deck in your favor and eat more of those. So amino acid indicators, it just was saying consider increasing it, but I can tell you I started adding this perfect amino and I put it in my shake every morning because I want to make sure that I'm taking in a minimum of 30 grams of protein each morning when I wake up, particularly as I'm entering into perimenopause. And I have so much more energy than I did before, and it covers a variety of these amino acids. So definitely feeling the effects in a good way of increasing my amino acids. Foods that I can take: meats, dairies, poultry, seafood, onion, garlic, peppers, etc. Some environmental challenge indicators, it was telling me to reduce my load, and that number one was radiation. And like I said, the only thing I can think is I worked 18 years in an emergency room and we had open x-ray all the time. And even though they would call x-ray and we're supposed to clear the room, it was not a perfectly designed system any way, shape, or form. So right now, what I can do is stack the deck in my favor of taking some supplements that help with free radicals. And cleansing foods: beets, sweet potatoes, lemon, green leafy vegetables, apples, garlic, onions, nuts and seeds, and probiotics. And so that was what, on my test, I had to get my digestive system in order. And so in order to do that, I started with probiotics, digestive enzymes, and then I made sure that I was always like eating in the morning and having a glass of water first, the probiotic, and then once I would have my protein shake, I'm taking my digestive aid. I could tell the difference just starting that very simple regimen within 24 hours, because I believe that my digestion's been off probably since I had weight loss surgery. I also, when I worked as a registered nurse physically in the hospital, was sometimes not getting breaks and working 12 to 16-hour shifts. And so I would just eat any food that was available. And a lot of times it was a lot of processed convenience store food, or our favorite, or my favorite, pizza. Potlucks, all of that kind of stuff. So it made a lot of sense, especially with weight loss surgery, that I needed to get my digestion in order. And like I said, within 24 hours, I was already having elimination, but I did not feel bloated like I had before. It just felt great. It felt like I took a big poop and it felt great. Resistance indicators, I'm very fortunate. I don't have any of these, but sometimes these do come up, especially if you're post-virus, or you have something, bacteria, fungus, could show your mold and spores, parasites, etc. And these are some foods that you can eat to help support you if you have those resistance foods: elderberry, onion, coconut oil, pumpkin seeds, broccoli, garlic. Again, it reminds me of the food restrictions, because here it's talking about your energy flow. And when you're struggling with foods you ingest, the body will end up using energy from another source of the body to digest and, as they call it, liberate the key nutrients. This is from an epigenetic indicator, and it's not a physical intolerance or allergy. And so it's important to note, because I have done the actual allergy testing with blood, and it tells me to avoid dairy. Now, I don't have a severe reaction or anything like that, but if you are truly allergic to food, then, and it doesn't come up on this list, don't add it into your system, because these are two different kinds of tests. It also tells me some food additives to avoid. And when I looked at Austin's, we only had a few that were the same. So I thought that was very interesting. I really try and shop the perimeter of the store. I try not to go down the middle sections because that's where you're going to find a lot of your food additives that are not so good for you. This also could be like skincare products, shampoos, conditioners, etc., facial products. So I just try and look at the different things that I'm buying to make sure that these are not contained in the products or the foods that I have. So now that you have the 90-day optimization plan, it's letting me know, first things first, please stop eating these foods. Second step is, here's how you can do to optimize and avoid environmental challenges, interference, and even food additives. And when you click on this, it actually pulls it up and it has a lot of really great information. Then once I have this, they're suggesting the probiotic, which is exactly what I added into my system and felt great within 24 hours. That's step 3. Step 4 was then your water. How is the quality of your drinking water? I can tell you the water that comes out of our tap, A, tastes absolutely disgusting, and B, it's not good for us. And so we have a Berkey water filter, and that's been great. I have no complaints about it. I feel better. It's really removing a lot of things. There's a big trend right now with hydrogen in your water, and I'm very tempted to try to drink water that's been, I don't know, hydrogen's pumped into it in some way. I'm not sure. I've seen a lot of it advertised. I'm very curious to try it because I do like really good tasting water. Okay, that's one of the things I love, really good, clean tasting water. And then step 5 would be to increase your dietary intake of the foods, which then helps to address all of the priority and advisory nutritional indicators. And then the final step would be to support your body in dealing with any environmental challenges or resistance. Just that could be contributing to poor cellular expression and metabolic function. So here it's letting me do the supplements where I can also get very specific, like coenzyme Q10, eat more almonds, salmon, sardines, mackerel, spinach, beef heart, pork heart, etc. So I like this because, like I said, it sometimes isn't necessarily cost effective to be eating a ton of supplements, but also my stomach sometimes cannot handle taking as many supplements as are recommended. And so I'd rather add that in with my food intake. So here it's letting me know environmental foods for my radiation: seaweed, green tea, garlic, onions, wheatgrass. So wheatgrass is very different than wheat, just be aware of that. Parsley, ginger, avocado, broccoli, and probiotic whole foods. Some of the other things would be optimizing the step 6 part, the frequency interference. So some foods for that. So calcium would be day 1 through 90. Water, like how are you going to get really good water for cell optimization, and then a really good fatty acid. And that with fatty acids, I do supplement because I'm not a fish fan. So then what's really great with this is you have a self-check progress. So on your day 1, how are you feeling? Write this down. I actually did one very similar to this, but I did it daily because I really like to track. It helped to track my hormones, or at least I did. I tracked my hormones because I would put where I was in my cycle. I would also track all of these things. And then I started adding in the moon cycle because I noticed that my emotions and other things going on were greatly influenced by either the new moon or the full moon. Again, you do it at 30 days. I was doing it every day, but it's whatever you have the capacity to create space for and what you feel comfortable with, because this is I don't want this report to seem overwhelming. I want to create the space to give people the opportunity to really optimize their health. And if that just is like drinking an extra glass of water a day or getting in 8 glasses of water a day, perfect. Don't feel overwhelmed. Start small, start where you feel comfortable at. Because when I first got this report, it was very overwhelming. And then once I dived deeper into it and because I just was like, we'll get the digestion going first. And so that's what I did. For the first 30 days, I just worried about the digestion. Some of the other supplements have come on board as time's gone on, and I've created the space because I feel better. And I see where there's areas in my life that I'm ready to help improve. At day 60, day 90. And so at the day 90 mark is where you want to fill this out and then get another hair follicle test and compare it and see if a lot of the indicators that came up on the first report, where they are for the new report. Just again, the nutrition is the key to wellness, just a good reminding of nutrients, because a lot of times our soils are depleted, processed foods to really make sure it's very low value, lifestyles like high stress can deplete your body. It's just reminders. And it's time to stop just surviving and start optimizing. And that's where Austin and I have really dialed in systems. You can just do the straight follicle test with you do the follicle test and we send you the results. There's no real follow-up or communication with us. It's more like you dive into it and figure it out on your own. We have another package where you work with us and if you're local here in Stockton, you can work with Green's Nutrition, and Dr. Eunice Green is a naturopathic health practitioner, and she can help you dial in your supplement routine and really optimize that. And then we have a third package, and that is you meet with Dr. Green if you're here in town. If you're not in town, then we have systems in place, Austin and I, that we can help you with supplements and whatnot. But we then created an integration group to help you create the space in your life to make these changes. Because a lot of times when you start making these changes on your own, a lot of other issues can come up, maybe some deep buried emotions. Maybe you're not having family support and you really want your family to support you as you're trying to change your lifestyle. So we've developed an integration group to help support you in these spaces. So if you have any questions, just shoot me a DM. You can follow me on Instagram at the Shelley McLeod. And I really look forward to serving you and helping you out with all of your nutritional and hair follicle needs. Bye.